Oh, kaya mo naman siya kami nga nito, ma'am. Oh? Gong sanay lang nga nito, ma'am. Nimbula, ayaw Mr. Ben.
Ella ba?
Na magikiro manolo kinedyo na bimata ka moni chicken na fagarumbu ka.
Nambula FM, number 2 and selling.
How would you like to spend your morning? You could spend your morning like this. Or you could spend it like this.
Tune in to the Morning Ride every weekday morning from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. right here on Today FM, Today's Hit Music.
Tonight, a New Zealand company working on Vanua-level roads has gone into receivership. Aria Pratinity Sabah calls for a review of school fee structure in Fiji, and CWM maternity unit receives a much-needed facelift thanks to private donors. Leading our bulletin tonight, Blacktop Construction Limited, the Auckland-based contractor responsible for roadwork in the Northern Division, has gone into receivership. At this stage, Fiji Roads Authority CEO Neil Cook says they are in early discussions with the receiver, BDR Company of New Zealand. Cook says they'll ensure that roadwork in the Northern Division continues. The FRA CEO adds over the next few days, the FRA will be in constant talks with the receiver and will provide regular updates.
We have only just been notified of this. We are talking to the receiver, and our sole focus at the moment is making sure that our work on the roads in the northern area continues, and that we do what we can to support any Fijian creditors of Blacktop.
The receiver has 10 days to satisfy the Fiji Roads Authority that Blacktop will be able to continue to perform at the required standard. 50 locals have been duped by individuals posing as Land Transport Authority officers. Director Financial Intelligence Unit Razim Baksh reveals these people have lost a total of $30,000 in just 2 months. The scam involves an organized group posing as LTA officers who convince customers to deposit cash into personal bank accounts in return for LTA services. The money is immediately withdrawn at various ATMs, mostly in the Western Division. Baksh adds that their intelligence has identified some of the victims and they're now working with the Fiji police force. However, people who paid the money may also have some explaining to do. The FIU is trying to establish whether the victims already knew of the scam and still got involved to get the services of LTA dishonestly or by illegal means. New Zealand Labour Party Foreign Affairs spokesperson Phil Goff says the most important thing in regard to Fiji's case is to see that next year the people of Fiji have the right to choose a government. Speaking to New Zealand-based Radio Tarana, Goff says apart from this, it's also important to see that people also have the right to remove a government through the ballot box and not by force of arms in the future. His comments follow Australia and New Zealand's decision to support the progress made by Fiji with the unveiling of the new constitution, despite immunity provisions in it.
I think there'll be many people that feel uncomfortable about immunity being given to the coup leaders. I feel uncomfortable about that. What they did was illegal, what they did was wrong. But if that is the price of getting a genuinely free and fair election, then I think New Zealand, Australia and the Pacific Forum will probably go along with that. The first and most important focus should be on trying to ensure that the people of Fiji have the right to choose next year who governs them, and that be done through an efficient, fair process that is not subject to pressure or distortion by corrupt practice.
In recent days, both Australian and New Zealand governments have accepted the 2013 constitution, saying it's the best way to guarantee that Fiji holds free and fair elections next year. President Ratuepeli Nailatika will give his assent to the 2013 Constitution tomorrow afternoon. FBCTV will carry live coverage of this historic event from Government House in Suva. You can join us from 3:30 p.m. when the coverage begins. The Arya Pratinidhi Sabha of Fiji is calling on the government to review its tuition fee structure amidst a standoff over the issue of sending students home for unpaid fees. The Sabha claims the Education Ministry is misinforming the public when they say that education is free, adding that schools will close down if they continue to write off thousands of dollars. Christopher Chand reports.
The Sabha says a major drawback for school managements when collecting outstanding fees is the misconception that education is free in the country.
Parents are in slumber. They think that the government is paying the tuition and education is free, and therefore they don't have a responsibility. And one of the miscarriages of information is that the Ministry of Education repeatedly says education is free in this country, which is not.
That is a complete lie and false statement. Education is not free in this country. We have never made that statement that education is free. Education is partly free. We pay tuition fee grant, but education is not free in this country.
Last year, the Sabha wrote off $176,000 in revenue, and it owes the bank $6 million.
If somebody owed only 2 or 3 schools and they had outstanding fees of 180,000, they will close shop. We are able to manage because if some schools don't pay, others pay, we are able to float the money around. And that's the only comfort we have. Otherwise, if we don't collect schools like Gurukul Primary will close one day.
You are today only interviewing Arya Pratinidhi Sabha. You don't have other cases for Fiji? You have nothing about the agriculture show? You have nothing of this? Only one small issue done by 20 schools, and you are after that for half an hour wasting my time?
I have just interviewed you for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but just say.
Arya says the government needs to increase assistance to education in order to help solve the issue of unpaid fees.
Therefore, the government needs to seriously review and revise the fee structure also, so that we don't have to pressure ordinary poor people into paying fees.
Needed, and it's a long-term thing. It's a good suggestion.
With media attention on the issue of unpaid fees, the Sabha has collected $10,000 just today. However, based on how much money is paid up, management will decide tomorrow if students need to be sent home. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
After the break, copra production still carries hope for the people of Vivia.
Isambol binaka, na dango wadi soni dalai, na makio mani wasini ngono borota kina lali ne kabi, mai na tolu kina bitu, ena moni digina por rombuka, ena Bula FM, na bandu ena serre.
Bula, I'm Wame. Join me every weekday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on The Center Show with classic hits from the 70s as well as the 80s right here on Gold FM.
Welcome back. You're watching FBC News. With an increase in crime in Lautoka this year, the City Council has turned to modern technology to maintain safety. With the help of police, the Sugar City now has CCTV cameras in the Central Business District to keep an eye on what goes on. Akosida Tale has more.
These cameras will help reduce petty theft, shoplifting and reduce vandalism in shops and malls. Video evidence will be used to track down culprits and present them to court to face punishment. For police, it also means being able to watch the movement of children who should be in school.
It's about you. It's about you. Really, it's about you. And I'm sure students out there will be watching me and say, Mister, what do you mean by about you? We'll be able to track you if you're loitering and wandering around town. Yes.
5 cameras will be strategically located around the city and will be monitored by the City Council and the police.
We will maintain their privacy at all times. There should be no doubt at all in terms of privacy. One will be monitored at the police station and the other one will be at Lautoka City Council. That does not mean that anybody can pop in and just see those screens. No.
The cameras are worth 45,000 and there are plans to have more installed by the end of the year. Special Administrator Praveen Bala says the same CCTV equipment will soon be in use in Ba and Tavua.
I believe it's very important, not only for Lautoka, but for the entire country. And now that I look after Ba and Tavua, my plan would be to have this CCTV camera installed in Ba and Tavua as well. And I'm working towards that.
Police expect that there will be fewer instances of crimes since people will know that they are being watched. Lautoka City is hoping these cameras will help people feel safer. Aku Sita Talei, FBC News.
The CWM Hospital Maternity Unit will receive a major facelift over the next 6 weeks. Digicel Fiji has provided the Ministry of Health just over $90,000 for the project. Chanel Sivan reports.
This is the current state of the CWM Hospital Maternity Unit in Suva. Paint peeling off, broken floor tiles, dilapidated sinks and other amenities. According to the senior matron Aliote Ngaluvakandua, the unit has never been renovated.
To the number that we have, we are not always be able to give the best to our women when they come, like CTG machine, Dopplers, new beds, and also looking at the food warmer. Our patients, if you look at the outline of the whole of CWM, top kitchens right on the end. When food are brought down, sometimes it's not warm enough.
Sister Aliote says staff also face a lot of difficulties every day and funding from the private sector makes their work easier. Ngalumvakandua also says currently nurses and patients have to share one changing room, and this won't be the case once the renovations are complete.
This renovation will allow us to have a separate room for the nurses to change in and a special room only for the patients to be, for our mothers to be examined and treated in. Also, they are looking at renewing the bathroom toilets, including the showers and the tiles.
Digicel Commercial Manager Andrew Skelton says the Ministry of Health needs to finish the renovation in 6 weeks.
We don't want this to drag on. We need this to start and we need it to finish, and we need to have something that we can all be happy about. So we've been in discussions for about 2 months now. All the groundwork's been laid about what do we need, who do we need to get involved.
Over 5,000 babies have been delivered at this facility so far this year, with an average of 25 births a day. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
Copper is still the best commodity for people of the Via Island in the Lao group. The Via District representative to the Lao Provincial Council, Epeli Lalingavoka, says they're now diversifying their coconut production, which is slowly hitting the local markets. Apisalome Toka reports.
Efforts are underway to once again make copra a leading source of income for people in outer islands and rural communities. According to Epeli Lalingavoka, copra has the potential to become a long-term stable commodity.
Before we used to use only copra, and its price we don't determine. When businesses say it's $500, then we get $500. If they say $80, then we get $80. But if we produce what we can get out of coconuts, like we have started recently, we will then determine the price of copra.
There is a big push to create jobs around the country, and Lalinga Walker says in the coconut industry there is money to be made.
Copra can create the most employment out of all produce in the country like before. Today we have started to produce virgin oil, soap, cooking oil and food for cow and pigs. Then we slowly move to a bigger scale.
He says the people of the Dia know the benefits of coconut products and they are planning for the future.
I have told the people of the Dia, if we fill up our hills with coconut trees and work towards producing all that come out from coconuts, get out markets, we can buy a ship for our island and even move on to buying a plane. It's only about getting ourselves involved in copra.
The Fijian coconut industry was once a major source of export revenue alongside sugar. It helped thousands of rural and maritime farmers and workers and brought in much needed foreign exchange. Apisalome Toka, FBC News.
Jamie joins us now with sports and all the action from the Pacific Mini Games.
Jackie, good evening. Up ahead, updates from Wallace and Fortuna. Ratu Navula prepare for celebrations this Saturday and great news for netball fans. All the details after the break.
नमस्ते दोस्तों, मिर्ची रफ्तार से मैं अश्निल सिंह। शामिल हो जाइए हमारे साथ मंडे टू फ्राइडे फ्रॉम 3 to 7 p.m.
Timbula, Methango Nimilote Naisorotamboa, Namakao Minarua Kinaona Navekavi Muniti Kina Vakarambuka, Rongo Menaviasama Kina Vivaga Barota Kinin Reko Malolo, and Radio Fiji 1 na Wongani Pianiano, Ngai Namakio Kina.
Welcome back to FBC Sports. First up tonight, a hip injury did not prevent Leslie Copeland from winning gold in the men's javelin at the Pacific Mini Games today. After his first attempt was declared a no-throw, Copeland went on to throw 68.62 meters to top a strong pack. Shelvin Chand has more.
A throw of 68.62 meters was enough for Fiji to get gold in the javelin. Despite meeting tough opposition while carrying an injury, Copeland was not happy with his performance.
I'm happy that I can complete the competition and still get a gold medal for Fiji. To me, that's just good enough. But performance-wise, it's way below my par. I'm not so happy. But I'm happy that I never aggravate my injury that much.
The javelin was Copeland's one and only event for the mini games, and it was his last event for the year as he recuperates. But he will be back.
Well, there's always 2016 Rio, and I want to pick myself up from here and continue.
The win was dedicated to the people who have helped the athlete keep focus and win the medal.
Just thank you so much to all my family, my friends, my coach. Thank you so much for all your support over the years, and I'm fall short of my performance, but well, I'll go back and work out from here.
With another gold in the bag, Fiji now has a mammoth task of chasing leaders, Papua New Guinea, who seem to have become the new kings of Pacific athletics. From the Pacific Mini Games in Wallace and Fortuna, Shelvin Chand for FBC Sports.
And Tabor lad Ashnil Nand started the day for Team Fiji by collecting a bronze in the 5,000 meter race despite a minor injury. Nand was injured during the steeplechase yesterday where he finished 4th but managed to do one better this morning. A first-timer to international meet, Nand hopes to be able to continue with athletics while focusing on his studies.
So this is my second time. First time I ran the Fiji Games in Fiji. So this is my second time I'm running the 5,000.
How does it feel to actually win something in this first national game?
I'm feeling very happy because I win a bronze medal. First time I represented Fiji, and to run with some experienced runners here, like the boy from Nickelodeon. He's the gold medalist from SPG. So I'm happy to run with him and get one medal.
Medics are advising athletes to rehydrate as the heat at the Pacific Mini Games soars into the mid-30s. This after 3 runners in the women's 1500 meters were stretchered off during and after the race. Fiji's Meresini Naindao, who finished 4th, was also stretchered off after she crossed the finish line. Team Fiji has advised coaches to ensure that all athletes drink the required amount of water. The inclusion of Australia and New Zealand in the Pacific Games will be a major issue at the Pacific Games Council meeting this weekend in Wallace and Fortuna. Both countries were invited to be part of the Games in sailing and weightlifting. However, a lack of accommodation only allowed for the Australian sailing team to make it to the Games. After speaking to Fasanok, Shelvin Chand reports that it will be a matter of weighing out the pros and cons.
The issue of getting these two countries into the Pacific Games is not new. However, with the latest steps being taken, may see this eventuate. Fasanok believes all decisions on this issue should incorporate the Pacific Games values.
The important thing from our point of view is that we've got to look at the purpose of the Games. And you look at the Pacific Games Charter, it's very clear what the purposes are. And the purpose is to for the Games to provide some means to connect Pacific Island countries together in a spirit of partnership, to keep a flame of the culture and friendship alive in the Pacific. And of course we will have to look at whether the inclusion of our big brothers or sisters, so to speak, Australia and New Zealand, will contribute to that, or will it will hopefully not douse that flame.
Despite Australia and New Zealand having an advantage in terms of facilities and technology, there is belief that Pacific nations can still compete against them.
Pacific Islands are very small. In some sports we can compete with them, like for Fiji, sevens rugby. narrow in the power sports like powerlifting and weightlifting. We are competitive in some sports. However, we got to look at the bigger picture.
FESANOC will not rush into things, but will make an informed decision.
We won't be forced into any position.
The Pacific Games Council meeting takes place this Saturday, but until then, the games continue and the medals keep getting snatched up. From Wallace and Fortuna for FBC Sports, I'm Shalvin Chan.
Suva fended off their first Fairbrother Sullivan Rugby Trophy challengers Lautoka, but with Namosi up next on Saturday, the competition will only get harder for the capital side. Much focus this week has been on battles up front and the hope that the elements will work in their favour. Elena McDonald has more.
The Suva-Namosi clash will come down to who executes plays better. Each sector has their own strategies to worry about, and of course, for both teams, there's always the playing conditions to consider. For Suva, they're ready for anything.
It's all up to the weather, what weather comes in. Rain, shine, or storm. We are there, you know. Do you want to put the boys into this kind of situation? And whatever weather.
Saturday's only their second challenge, which can prove difficult to maintain winning form when presented with fresh teams each time.
You can change everything week in, week out, you know? You can change it. Week in, week out. You know, we have a game plan here this week and next week. So I think we stick to one and perfect it. Yeah. When you look at the basics of what we want to do, correct it first. Then everything will fall in place.
Much trust will be placed on impressive long-range kicker Isor Donaldson. As for Namosi, let's hope they've done their homework to counter all aspects for what will be an exciting match. Elena McDonald, FBC Sports.
The victorious Ratunavula College under-18 rugby side will be accorded a full celebration this Saturday for winning the Dean's Trophy for the first time. The Nandi Bay school overcame all odds a fortnight ago to take home the holy grail of schools rugby and have attributed their rise to champion status to a special team bond.
On the day we left school on Friday afternoon, we had a Thanksgiving service. My last sentence for that speech, I told the boys, we are on our way to create history. So we did our homework. We looked at the games, and we were positive that we were on our way to create history.
Finally, good news for sports fans as FBCTV has today announced it will show the Constellation Cup netball series between New Zealand and Australia. This is the second year running that FBC has secured the live and exclusive rights to show the games between the top two nations in netball. The first match will air on September 15th and the second game on September the 19th. That's it from Sports Tonight. Good evening.
There's growing demand for locals to work as crew on foreign vessels. The Maritime Safety Authority of Fiji has received a request from the German government, which is interested in recruiting Fijian mariners. MSAF Chief Executive Neil Slack says they're talking with regulators' maritime education facilities so that the courses offered meet the international standards. Slack says this will improve the caliber of mariners produced by Fiji.
Whatever we can to assist the other educational providers here to capitalise on those opportunities that are out there, and if Fiji and we as part of that process don't do that, another nation's going to do it.
Introducing better maritime courses are also expected to improve safety at sea. Weather time now in Jen. It seems we had a bit of sun today after all.
Yes, Jackie, my forecast here says it was a cloudy day with showers. When I looked out my window, we did have a bit of sunshine. Apparently, the low pressure trough that was over us has moved northwards at the tip of Vanuatu, maybe around Undu Point, meaning that we're now experiencing cool, clear winds from the south. But it could turn around, so we'll just have to wait and see. Our highest temperature is still at 27 degrees. However, our lowest temperature has increased from 22 to 25 degrees, and hopefully it gets warmer. Tomorrow sees the sun coming out in Nandi, Lautoka and Ba, so Westerners rejoice. There's fine conditions in store for you. The rest of us will have to deal with more clouds and maybe some more showers. Here's something most of us don't get to see often: the historic Billow Battery Gun Site outside Suva. We'd love to get more photos though, so do send your best ones in to citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj.
Thanks so much for that, Genevieve. And tonight's top stories: a New Zealand company contracted by Fiji Roads Authority to work on Vanur-level roads has gone into receivership. Arya Pratinidhi Sabha calls for a review of school fee structure in Fiji, and CWM Maternity Unit receives a much-needed facelift thanks to private donors. To the poll question for this week, and we're asking, with Australia and New Zealand now supporting the new constitution, should all travel restrictions against Fiji stop? Visit our website www.fbc.com.fj to take part. Remember to send us newsworthy pictures and videos. Email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj. That's news tonight. Until tomorrow, good evening.
जहाँ हो प्यार का बसेरा और रिश्तों की खुशबू, वो है आपका अपना घर संसार. Join me on Ghar Sansar, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. only on Radio Fiji 2.
Hope you're enjoying the music right now on Gold FM. Only the classic hits, especially if you're spending your time at home or around the office. I certainly hope you're taking it easy and enjoying the music coming your way. Well, I got a whole lot more to keep you moving and to keep you going right up until you reach mark-off time. I'm Kara. Join me every weekday from 2 to 7 on The Ride, only on Gold FM.